Hi, welcome to Absolutely Fabulous. My name is Gillian Fennell, also known as Station Mum 101. I love everything about agriculture, especially the people and especially communicating about what makes Australian ag so special.
And I'm Katja Williams, a beef, cattle and cropping farmer, and I love all things ag, and I'm also known as the ultimate farm wife. Together, we are absolutely fabulous, and we are talking all things agriculture beyond the headlines.
And we can't wait to give our opinion to you, and we hope you enjoy it.
So let's get into today's episode. Welcome to another episode of Absolutely Fabulous. It's episode 81, and today we've got lots of fun topics, including our wonderful news about the merch drop, the Shorthorn National results, Gillian's panel on Farmers for Climate, expressions of interest for the Harvest to Power speakers and sponsors, and so much more.
So much more. But some good things, some really good things are happening, Katja. So, hello everyone. It's us. We're back. We're recording. Katja, it's chit chat time. Oh, look, I'm taking over your job. Usually, you usually do all this bit. What have you been up to since you had your magnificent visit to Adelaide and I exhausted you in Ikea?
IKEA was a very unique experience. I've never been before, so thank you for taking me to IKEA. I got a lot of inspiration from it, but I also realised that if I was ever going to do any of that inspiration, I actually needed to come home and get rid of the junk that's accumulated in this house over the last 8 years that we've been in it. So I actually hired a lady to come out and help me tackle the laundry and office space, because it was just like 8 years of unfiled. Like, I knew where everything was, but it was like, imagine washing baskets of paperwork and anything in our 2-bedroom workers' cottage that doesn't fit anywhere else or doesn't have a home, that's where it ended up. So I needed someone who was very much a non-partial, non-emotionally connected person to anything to actually go through it. So it took 3 of us over 6 hours to do, and I knew it was going to be a big job.
Yeah.
And then I had my parents come up this weekend and help me do the garage. So same, like if things don't fit in the house and they don't fit in the shipping container, it goes into the garage. And so there was like 8 years worth of stuff that was neither here nor there, and we went through it. It was like, okay, what actually needs to be here to make it work, to make it fit? And we also had like a heap of termite damage, so all the wooden shelving needed to be ripped out and replaced, and everything needed to be termite treated. So it was a big job as well. I think that one only took us maybe a day and a half, but exhausted.
I don't think people understand how tired it makes you sorting out your shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's because it's mentally exhausting, because everything you touch is a decision. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why a lot of us, we're so tired from everything else. Why? Like, I just can't face it. And that's how we end up with 8 years worth of paperwork in a laundry basket hidden away in the back of our laundry that we can't use because now it's full of paperwork.
Now it's full of paperwork. And like, the other thing is, like, I still don't have kids that sleep through the night. They're still quite young. Yeah. So like, that sleep deprivation on top of it is just, no, it just wasn't something I could tackle by myself.
No. And sometimes, like, because I'm amazing, I can clean other people's stuff up. But my own really, really struggle. Maybe we should do a house swap.
A house swap for a week.
Oh, that'd be really interesting, though. That's a good idea. But we'll float that as our first TV program. We'll go to someone else's house and sort out their problems while our problems remain a nightmare and cannot be touched or dealt with. Yeah, so we came home in the truck last night. We'd been down south. Mark had to drop cattle off, and I'd been down there like for a week doing all sorts of meetings and whatnot. So I didn't have my car. I had my dad's car, which is a Sanyong, which is a very interesting vehicle to drive because the windscreen wipers and the blinkers are on opposite sides. So I'm like trying to turn the corner but turn the windscreen wipers on accidentally. So that was pretty interesting. And it talks to you all the time and it tells you what to do. And yeah, it's just... But anyway, came home in the road train last night. Oh, well, not really a road train, just the big double. The smoothest bit of the journey was the 75 k's of dirt. The Stuart Highway is outrageous. how, like, we talk a lot in this country about productivity and this and that and everything else. Our road networks are a disgrace. And that is why transport costs are so high, because honestly, the trucks must be just wrecking themselves left, right and centre to try and do their jobs on roads like that. It is crazy. But anyway, we got home and then it started to rain. So it rained all night. Luckily, we beat the rain in and, yeah, cleared away about smoko time. So we've had another nice little top up. I think we've got about 16 mils. So everything's starting to look really good. But
That's perfect.
Yeah, it is. It is. And when it warms up, because all that moisture's not going anywhere, when spring comes, we're going to get another nice big flush of green. And yeah, we might even get wildflowers this year, because we usually only get wildflowers when we get winter rain. So might get some nice flowers.
That's exciting. I think we'll need some photos of that.
Yeah. I will, if I remember. You know what I'm like. I'll try. I'll do my best.
And because I can feel someone asking this, Jill, does the cattle actually eat the flowers, or do they just graze around them?
Oh, they graze around them because they're not very palatable, and there's like very little nutritional value in them. Like, we don't get with the majority of flowers we get are like they're little teeny tiny paper daisy type things. So they're just very ephemeral, and they won't hurt the livestock if they eat them, but they're not, they smell gross, so I envisage that they would probably taste pretty gross. There's nothing to them, so you could probably eat a ton of flowers and have no nutritional value whatsoever. So, yeah, they just step around them mainly.
Wonderful. And for those who were wondering what the difference is between a bee double and a road train, Gillian and I did an episode way back when we first started about the difference in vehicles.
I'll see if I can find that tile and put it back up, because it's got the different configurations on there about what's what. So I was going back, because I was in the Canva account, and I was going back through the Canva thing the other day looking for something. I'm like, oh, yeah, that looks really cool. I might put that one up again. So, yeah, I'll write that down now for me to forget tomorrow.
Yeah. So organised.
I'm writing it down. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, though.
Gillian, while you're writing that down, when we were across in Adelaide, we had a very exciting announcement. We had just dropped some AgFab merchandise, and we were so excited about it. And and we'd got the notification that it had been delivered to Adelaide, and then it sat in the warehouse for a week.
Yeah, it sat out at the airport. Couldn't even go and pick it up. But here it is. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, ta-da! And to the ladies who came to the long lunch, and gentlemen too, if they want one, I suppose they can have one. I promise I will put them in the post. I know I've sent you all emails and I haven't forgotten. I'm actively doing it, but I've been away and it was a pain in the backside. So I'm going to sit down and do it tomorrow. Now that I'm home with my postage stuff and my label printer, and I don't have to go to the post office at Adelaide and navigate that. So it will probably likely come by pack camel, because it'll be going post office via aeroplane. But yeah, it will arrive. You will get tracking information. It's coming. And I've set up a little Etsy shop, and I will list them on there as well if you wanted to buy a t-shirt. Limited sizes, only 2 colours. That's the pink. This is the blue. That's all we have at the moment, because we're not about having mountains of gear. We just talked about how much stuff we have in our houses we don't need anymore. So very limited, very exclusive. So they will be up in the Etsy shop hopefully before I head to Lamex next week. So we'll get them up and going.
And if you guys love those and we sell out, we might even look at adding some additional pieces to the collection. So give us your feedback. And if you are listening to the podcast, check out the socials for the pictures and the links.
As we become more financial, make small amounts of profit, other things are coming. We do have trucker hats. That's got a 10-week lead time. So, that requires a significant amount of organisation that neither of us quite possess at the moment. And larger bumper style stickers or larger vinyl stickers, like was the one I ran one because spatial and depth perception and all this is not really my strong point. So we ended up with some really teeny tiny stickers, but bigger ones are in the works as well. So you can actually stick them on your water bottle or your laptop or wherever you want to. So they're coming, like Christmas.
Sounds
maybe by
wonderful.
Christmas. Maybe by Christmas they'll turn up. All right. And what else has been happening? Let's check the list of things we need to talk about. So
So the next one's mine.
yeah, you had bulls in that sale, yeah, at the National.
Yeah. Yeah, we took 4 bulls to the National. So in previous years, we used to take an entire row of 10 or 12. But since having the on-property bull sale, we've been taking around four head. So it's always a great sale. It's the National Shorthorn Sale. We're very lucky in that it's actually here in Dubbo, New South Wales. So we don't have to travel very far for our national sale, which is absolutely incredible because there are bull buyers and bull sellers who come from all across Australia, including Tasmania, and actually quite a big contingency from South Australia. So that's always really strong, particularly in the bull buyers. But you could definitely feel in this year's sale that the talk of the El Niño and the recent dry times, especially in New South Wales, were really hard on the actual auction this year. So we still had great numbers for who turned up for the show. So the day before the sale is all the judging. So all the bulls and all the heifers that come get run through the performance yard and they go through all the judging and everything. There was only 38 of 39 bulls sold with an average of $9,846 with a top of $36,000, which was to lot 84 for Killamoroy Vivid. So that is the Cal Rossi Anglican School in Tamworth. So big congratulations to them. It goes back into their schooling, back into their ag plot and funds their next year for picking genetics, raising the cattle and bringing them back through to the national sale and all the show circuit that they then get experience with in livestock and cattle. So amazing effort for them. We sold 3 lots in the ring and the 4th one sold outside the ring. Great prices for us. But yeah, you could definitely feel the lack of confidence in what the season's going to do after this winter.
Yeah, and that's, it does make it hard because one of the first things that usually stops when is like stud stock buying, which is like a steady downward slope because if you're not putting that fresh genetics into your herd, you're going to get, decline of your desirable traits over time, which means that your cattle are not going to be as valuable or profitable. It's always a real challenge when people don't have the confidence, they won't invest like they usually do. And, if you're a stud stock breeder, luckily you've got a commercial herd as well, Katja. So, but you'll feel that's, if you're a pure stud stock, you'll feel that almost immediately. It's not great for the industry to have that sort of lack of confidence there.
It's another really good reason to diversify your operation, and that's why you don't see a lot of people just doing one thing. And even if they are just doing stud stock, they usually have some other full-time job on top of that as well.
Yep. Yeah, you have to have a pretty large operation to have purely stud stock and make a good living out of it because it's not easy. The paperwork and everything that goes along with having a stud stock operation, like it's very, very time consuming, which, if you're going to just rely on that, you need to start getting more and more money for each individual animal to make it profitable because you're investing so much time and energy in it. And there's lots of vets and all that sort of stuff that goes along with it. So, but preaching to the converted, Katja, because you breed stud stock, we don't. We just buy them on occasion for them to hang around under my clothesline because they're too soft and sad to go out in the paddock and do their job. But anyway.
Buying from the wrong people, Gillian.
I think any stud bull would struggle if they came here after like growing up in a very sort of different environment to just go out there on those hot rocks at 40 degrees, mate, and do your job. Is probably about 300 or 400 kilos overweight for working after being prepared for sale and everything. But anyway, that's why we like to buy them quite young and have them grow out here. But because then you can still cut them. If they grow out and have undesirable traits, you can still knock their stones out or send them entire off to be turned into a salami or a hamburger patty. So, yeah.
Well, Gillian, you've been on a webinar, Farmers for Climate Action, on what was it, energy sovereignty in Australia? How'd that go?
Yeah, it's a funny name for a very sensible sort of idea. And I know that some people have this perception that Farmers for Climate Action, they're just all like let's all be vegan and all sort of shenanigans. But it's not really. And in the sense that when you think about advocacy, right, like so your conventional advocacy bodies, NFF and that sort of stuff, they have their hands full doing a very broad range of things, so they can't narrow in on certain things. But Farmers for Climate Action, they're really concerned and really worried about and focused on how can agriculture reduce its emissions footprint, be more sustainable and resilient, and by choice. Because what will happen, because we see this happen every other, if we don't choose to take these actions, the government will regulate and legislate it. And that's the last thing you want to have happen. So they've been investigating ways, and it was really sort of kicked off by the Strait of Hormuz nonsense when no one could buy any fuel or fertilizer and all that sort of stuff. And I went there to speak about, because they're like, oh, you know, we use so much diesel and this sort of stuff. And I said, well, we've been off grid like forever, because being on grid is not even an opportunity for us. We're so far from anywhere. And, you know, because a lot of people are saying, oh, well, you can't have solar powered workshops with welders and all that sort of stuff. You can, it's expensive, but you can do it. So I was there talking about the setup that we have and how we got to this point and how we went from using 110,000 litres of diesel a year to around maybe 30 or 40, depending on whether we're moving earth or not. If we're not doing any earthworks like grading or cleaning out dams and that sort of stuff, we don't use hardly any diesel at all. Petrol use is very constant because it goes in the gyro and the motorbikes. We've got a couple of petrol little generator pump things, but they use like 2 litres, so they're fine. And yeah, it was really an interesting thing. They're pitching this idea at the moment that, you know, if you cap the top 4 miners, because it's all structured around, and this is another thing we need to be really careful of as agriculture, right? If we don't be proactive on this and sort of demonstrate where changes can be made that will be acceptable, we will be forced. And I'm talking about the fuel rebate, the off-road fuel rebate. So Farmers for Climate Action have this idea that if you cap the 4 biggest mining entities at $50 million of off-road fuel rebate, that's all they're allowed to claim is $50 million, which, you know, I wouldn't mind being able to claim $50 million. I've never seen or heard of even come close to $50 million in my life. If you capped them at that, nobody else needs change, just those biggest 4, and that money that the government was paying to those mining companies gets invested into structures, schemes, loan payments or whatever for farmers who are looking to, they call it decarbonise, but it really, what they're trying to do is reduce reliance on fossil fuels. So for example, Katja, you might want to go off grid at your property and completely not get any power from Dubbo, because that's generated, I don't know, where's New South Wales power come from? Is it a coal-fired power station? I don't know. But that's what they're thinking, that if you could do that, then it will like make us more resilient, because we will need less diesel. The more that people take up this type of technology, the more sort of research and stuff happens into it sort of just by accident, just to gain efficiencies. And then eventually one day down the road, we might all be having diesel electric tractors and all that sort of stuff that is a possibility, but not a reality at the moment. And because there's lots of different things that need to happen to make it work. And you know, so that's what they're pitching. And I found it very, very interesting, the number of farmers that came out and were like just sort of doing the mining industry's work for them and saying, oh, you can't take them big miners sort of fuel rebate off them because that's an off-road fuel tax and blah, blah, blah. And I would ask those farmers, what the fuck have the miners ever done for us? Mm-hmm. I don't care if you want to have everything diesel, like that's your business. That is literally your business. That is your choice to make. I'm not invested in going into solar or going in having a wind farm in my backyard or whatever. Your choice. But just think really, really carefully before you go into bat for a mining company that would happily turf you off your farm tomorrow and dig it up. Be really, really careful about who you hitch your wagon to. And you don't have to support Farmers for Climate Action either. Like, I know some of them, they're not bad people. They're farmers, they're living, they're trying to do their best. They're passionate about what they want to do. But I'm not invested in the cause. But yeah, miners will never help us. Like, we're a prop. Stop letting people with lots of money and power use us as props to get their own way if they don't help us get our own way. That's what I would say to people who want to really go into bat for the mining companies.
Interesting side quest. About 5 or 6 years ago, I definitely had one baby, so 5 or 6 years ago, I went on a farm tour just out further out west from here. I think it was around Narromine. And we went to a cotton farm, so broad acre farming, and their whole farm tour talk was on how they went from converting their big diesel pumps to irrigating the cotton and everything else that they did with those big pumps, how they had converted them to solar pumps. And they were massive, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of acres of cotton. Like, it was incredible that they were able to make that change and host the solar panel and the energy on their farm to do that. And they were saying, like, the cost analysis of doing that, for memory, was that, yes, they could lose that acreage of crop to solar panels to be able to, and it was still working out profitable, but then they also worked out they could run a subcrop underneath it that was suitable for sheep or free-range chickens or whatever it was, and they were then actually able to vertically integrate other businesses to increase their profitability and work that in around the solar panels and work that in with decreasing the diesel. So very much able to be done. It's just whether or not you've got the cognitive thought for it, the logistics for it, and the cost analysis for it to roll it out for your enterprise. But I can't see anyone adapting it, all at once unless they're on smaller acreage.
No. And that's the thing. It's like, and I think this is where some people get really confused and really sort of upset, because change is hard. And they see something with the name of, like, climate action in their name, and they're like, oh, they just want me to plant trees and, have wind farms and all this sort of stuff. I don't think they do. And even if they did, that doesn't matter. Still listen to what they're saying, because some of the ideas they're coming up with will save you money. So don't cut off your nose to spite your face, so to speak, because if you're not exposed to the fluctuations in the diesel price and the supply chain challenges in diesel, like, if you imagine, we all know I can't grow anything to save myself, but if you need to water a crop at a certain time and it's a high value crop and you need to turn that irrigator on and you have no diesel and no chance to get diesel, then it's you and your bucket. If you can safeguard yourself from any sort of price shocks or supply chain shocks, that's just good sense. And sometimes you can't do it because the CapEx, the capital expenditure, requires too much, or you don't have the time or capacity within your organisation, and that's fine. Again, it's your business, your decision. But at least be a bit switched on to listening to different ideas and possible solutions and adapt them to your unique circumstances. Don't get all bent out of shape because of who's telling you something. Just listen to what people are saying and, take it on board or not. You don't have to, like, love them or love it. Even a stopped clock's right twice a day. So, you might learn something from someone. But yeah, so that was the panel. But it was a very friendly panel. It was people with a vested interest in the climate were there, but that's fine. But something that's more exciting than that is going to be the Harvest Her Power residential experience, which we still cannot come up with a catchy name for, in Adelaide next year. And we are looking for speakers and sponsors and presenters and supporters and money and stuff and people who want to come. So, yeah, we're planning all that. We went on a tour, didn't we, Adelaide?
Gillian took me on an incredible tour, and we actually went and checked out some venues. We definitely have a top 3. Great tour guide. Mark drove. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, so it's shaping up. So, yeah, if you're listening to this and you are interested in coming, that's great. We'll be putting out the expression interest of forms for registrations shortly. But at the moment, the one we have open is looking for speakers/presenters, because what's going to be different about this from a normal conference is that we're going to have like the room full, we're all there and we're all sharing in that experience. We're going to have breakouts where you've got the chance to get hands-on with a particular topic, and we're really encouraging anyone who is presenting at this event. I'm trying very hard not to call it a conference because it's more than a conference. Not that conferences are bad, but it's different. So we are looking for people who have a tool or something that people can take away with them when they leave, be it digital, physical, or whatever, or can impart a skill. And it doesn't have to be it can be a really interesting skill, and really practical. So some of the ideas that have been kicking around so far is we've got some of the Harvest Her Power Committee would be interested in presenting, and depending on how the day falls and where it ends up being hosted, things like how to pack a car for traveling around on dirt roads and to do your grocery shopping and that sort of stuff. What are the essentials that you need? And if you're new to farming, or if you're new to living in rural, regional and remote areas, you might not know, and if you're new to traveling with small children, if it's only ever just been you, an adult in the car, you have a lot less complex needs than children do. The distance, what are you going to pack? What are you going to bring back? How are you going to keep it all safe? So that's something that's being explored. And we've also talked about maybe doing a bit of butchery, how to break down a carcass. Again, depending very much on the venue. Like I can't see us doing that, sort of like at the Stanford Grand or somewhere like that. They might frown on that sort of behaviour. But if we get the right venue and the right place, we'll be able to do like proper, hands-on stuff, making sausages maybe, all this sort of stuff that you usually only learn if you get because we kill our own meat, not everyone does, but if you do kill your own meat, you usually only learn those skills from being shouted at in the meat house. And it's a very high pressure environment. I don't know why. It's not like you're making sausages for the Olympics or anything, but it's just usually can be quite stressful working with your father or your mother or your partner. So this will be a low stress, sort of casual, supportive environment in which to learn new skills. And we've been talking about using AI tools, how to integrate them into your business. Yeah, there's been lots of different things. So if you've got any ideas of stuff you want to experience, anyone who would like to present or speak, because we do have the big room opportunities, or anyone who wants to sponsor us, give us stuff for the goodie bags and for our participants, reach out. We're available and willing and ready to listen. Yeah. Anything to add, Katja, now that I've got your name right and I'm not calling you Adelaide anymore?
For those who are listening to this episode for the first time, Harvest Her Power is the non-for-profit organisation which I started by myself a few years ago, and I have now registered and have this beautiful committee. Gillian's on the committee with me, and we roll out workshops, webinars, and this annual conference we've just spoken about for women all across Australia who are in family farming operations. On all of our sponsorship stuff, you'll see rural and regional women. It's specifically women in farming, but for those who are trying to align it with grant funding or personal development or anything like that, we've kept it nice and broad so that we can capture that as well. Whether you've been part of a farming operation for less than 12 months, or whether you're like Gillian and I who have been over 12 years, 20 years, 30 years, this is the conference for you. We have age demographics right from, are in their 20s all the way up to 65 plus, because it's never too late to learn a new skill. It's never too late to get the tips, tricks, hacks and advice that can help you in the farming operation thrive. It is a non-for-profit which is set up not for the family farming business, but actually for the people behind it, the people who are usually forgotten, which is us women who carry the mental load, who carry a lot of unseen work and roles. And yeah, that's who we're doing it for. So if you're listening to the first time, it's a little bit more information about why we're venue seeking. We have an annual conference, so it has been in New South Wales for 2 years, and in 2027 it is going to be in Adelaide.
Yep. So if you don't live in South Australia, if you don't live in Adelaide, because if you live anywhere other than Adelaide in South Australia, you're going to have to travel anyway. But being in a capital city, I know it sounds a bit backwards, like because it's for like rural people and people from farms. It's generally a lot easier to drive or travel to a like centre, and then catch a plane to a place that has like taxis and Ubers and stuff. Not always, but Adelaide's pretty easy to navigate and all that sort of stuff. So that's why we have chosen to have it in a capital city. We love regional venues and we love doing the regions, but looking to make it accessible to people from all of Australia, as accessible as possible, because it doesn't matter where you live in Australia. If you live in a rural or regional area, it's a pain in the ass to get anywhere at any time. There's so much travel involved. We're trying to cut it down just a little bit.
And for those who are wanting to reduce their travel or wanting to reduce travelling alone, we as a committee have reached out to a travel company and we have got a quote for a bus. So we're just working out the bus route for that. So the expressions of interest for the bus will go out. If we can get enough people who say, yes, I will pay this amount, X amount to get on the bus and travel across with you guys, it will be starting in New South Wales and either travelling, New South Wales straight through into South Australia via Broken Hill, or if there's enough who want to jump on around southern New South Wales, Victoria, bottom of South Australia, we'll go that way. So keep an eye out for that. Let us know what you think.
I had a rumour, Katja, that you were going to get in a big silver bus with a lady's high-heeled shoe on top and travel via Broken Hill in a giant frock, streaming your frock out the back of your bus. For those of you who don't know, if you're too young or maybe even too old to get that reference, that is a Priscilla, Queen of the Desert reference. There's a very, very famous scene in that movie where they stopped in Broken Hill. Yeah, so Katja, you might be able to lead the tour to the pub in Broken Hill and have a Priscilla night there when you come across from New South Wales.
If they want to see me do that, that's extra, but I will do it if it's called for it.
We've just announced that we are available for bribes. So if you pay us enough money, there's pretty much nothing that we won't subject ourselves to. So anything for the cause, anything to make the conference profitable and affordable for everybody else.
Yeah, I will definitely have my speaker and my mic at the front of the bus, so you'll get to hear some trivia. You'll get to hear, a few other bits and pieces.
There is another goat. Oh, another goat. Oh, 100 goats. That's a fucking goat. Dead kangaroos. There'll be lots of those too. Oh, it won't be much coming through that Broken Hill country. Now, there'll be a lot of rocks, won't be a lot of grass, although they have had a significant amount of rain this year. Right, so more on South Australia. The Electoral Commission of South Australia ran an absolute rout this year with our state election. And now they've started issuing people nasty letters saying that if they don't have a justifiable reason for not voting, they will be fined. And this is a big deal to the pastoral community of South Australia, especially because I don't think we've received our postal votes in time to vote for the past 3 state elections. Not that we're going to make a big difference because there's hardly any of us here. But it just sort of goes to demonstrate a few things. One, that they are very disorganised because it's not hard. Like, you've got 4 years to organise yourself. 2, that they have never reviewed their systems and sort of adjusted or amended for those failings. And 3, they don't give a shit about people who live in the bush because their votes don't count. So that's very, very clearly demonstrated. It was further complicated this year. In fact, we had a lot of rain around election time, so post was extra delayed. But these people, the Electoral Commission of South Australia, make an outrageous amount of money. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of people work there. They could not get the bomb report to find out the weather or the likelihood of roads being closed. They couldn't talk to Australia Post to find out sort of average postal times, all that sort of stuff. So it's the Electoral Commissioner of South Australia has since resigned, but because they're in such a shambles, they're due to have local government elections. It was meant to be quite soon, but they've been put off because it is such a mess that there's no faith and no trust and no capacity for them to actually run even the local government elections. So this is a problem because we're a democracy in Australia. You're supposed to have faith and trust in the systems that uphold that democracy. I don't go in for big conspiracy theories about, oh, it was rigged and it was deliberate and this and that. It was just garden variety uselessness. But if you don't do your job properly, especially when you do things like running elections, that's when you leave yourself and your government open to those sorts of criticisms from lunatics. And that is one of the last things that we require at this particular point in time. So, yeah, that's what's happening in South Australia. Massive roots are being run with our democratic rights and processes, and no one seems very enthusiastic about addressing any of those issues. Just like nothing to see here. We'll just have a review and move on. So, yeah, that's the state of politics in South Australia. But something positive to come out of South Australia is the SA Heifer Show has this most awesome, cool thing that I am 100% going to go down there if I get invited, which I probably won't after this because I'm going to steal that and make it my own. They have a model of a carcass that is like a jigsaw puzzle. And I think it is the coolest thing I have seen in a very, very long time. And I'm going to go to the SA Heifer Show because Livestock SA administers the industry funds, which supports the Heifer Show. They give them money, so they should. It's a very, very good event. But I'm going to sneak down there and snavel that up and put it in my bag. I might need to get like an extra big bag because it does look quite large. But I will find a picture of that and post it as well because it is super cool. I'm going to find out where they got it and put the details on the social post because it's super cool.
It looks almost lifelike, like life scale, but then I was trying to like work out from the photo, okay, so it fits together like a puzzle. So you're able to then to cut, like pull the different muscle groups apart to see, you know, what a Scotch fillet comes from and where's the brisket and where's all that. I think that'd be a really cool educational tool, and I am actually really surprised that it has taken to now for someone to come with, like, have that concept and make a model to fit that.
Well, because you've been able to get human ones forever. I remember in science lab, when I was at school, bloody 30-odd years ago, we had the torso and you could pull the heart and the lungs and everything out. Like, that's not the muscle groups, obviously, that's the internal organs, but, like, it just makes pure sense to me that you have, like, one of those for livestock so you can see how everything goes together. And it's connecting people back to their food, and it's a hands-on activity. It's a learning activity. And it's, you know, it's a great way to introduce kids. Oh, you love rump steak. Well, guess what? Here it is. It's his butt, sort of. You know, it doesn't really translate to human sort of things because we're very different. But yeah, it's called the rump for a reason. Yep. Lamb shanks. Here's his legs. Chop the feet off. Pig trotters. You've ever wondered where pig trotters come from? I have not seen pig trotters in the butcher shop for a very, very long time. I don't know that they're very common these days.
I think it depends on the butcher shop. We've got a few different butchers in Dubbo, and I've definitely seen them in one, but I don't think I've seen them in many of the others. Maybe it's just not as popular anymore.
Yeah, pickled pig trotters, because and I think this is like every small town used to have a butcher, so every butcher did his own butchering and used everything nose to tail, so to speak. And pickled pig trotters were a special treat for some people, not for me. I think they're gross, but whatever. But now everything's sort of centralised, and so those parts that are seen as waste or low value, then they're not wasted, but they're turned into pet food or smooshed up and turned into like stocks and flavourings and that sort of things. They're not put out as is for human consumption anymore as much. If you're in a German area, they'd probably still have them, pig trotters. Germans quite enjoy their pork.
One of the butchers in Dubbo, their wife opened the shop next door, which sells pet treats. And I reckon that's exactly what they've done. They've opened the two businesses to share the waste products and then upsell them as like they're sold as like luxury treats.
Which I find very interesting, but whatever. It's just not for me. Dogs can just eat dog bits. They don't need luxury treats. Same with cats. Cats can eat cat food or mints or whatever. They don't need a luxury treat. They're a creature. But whatever. Spend your own money the way that you must. None of my business. You spend it on coming to the Harvester Power event in Adelaide, though. That's my business. So...
Absolutely. And remember, if you do get a personal development bursary as part of your employment, as part of your role, then you can definitely spend it on a ticket to come to the Harvester Power Conference. If you know someone who is in family farming and would love a community to be able to work on their resilience, decrease their isolation, increase their skill set and confidence and empowerment, then this is definitely for them. So we will leave you with that for tonight, and we'll see you in another episode.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Absolutely Fabulous. If you've been listening along and enjoying all this content, which I assume you have, you've gotten this far, then you might also like Katja's other podcast. It's the Ultimate Farm Wife Podcast. And I'm going to play the intro for you right now. Welcome to the Ultimate Farm Wife Podcast. On this channel, we're going to be discussing all things moving to the land and becoming integrated with a family farming operation. Whether you're moving to the farm for the first time or whether you're moving back into a family farming operation, we discuss the ins and the outs of all of it. So let's jump into today's episode.